What's going on, guys? So just like you, I heard about print on demand a couple of years ago, and I decided, that sounds interesting. And I threw myself into it. Now, in the very beginning, I had no idea what I was doing. Probably the way you're feeling now. I'm definitely still new. I'm not going to say that I'm a big guru making money. In fact, this is my shop here on the side. I've only been doing this shop for about 2.5 years. And as you can tell, it's not like I'm making $100,000 right now, but just like you, I'm on a journey to see where this is going to take me and hopefully get my store or my shop. We don't call it a store. Get my shop to a place where it is successfully running, making a profit every day. Hopefully, that's the goal. But how do we get there? Well, let me tell you. The reason I'm doing these videos is because I've learned some things along the past 2.5 years that I've been doing this, and I want to share whatever I've learned. So that's why I made this whole channel. Because normally I have a gaming channel, I have a coffee chat channel, and that's usually what I do lives and do videos there just for fun. Nothing serious, not about getting fame. It's just a little outlet for me. But I thought, if I'm going to do this, let's do this with a purpose. And that's what Nordwulf Designs came out. Because I'm doing an Etsy shop on this, might as well share my journey and what I'm learning. And one of the first things I want to share with you is profit margin. More money into your pocket, less money going out, and really not spending your time trying to sell these little products and making like peanuts when you can be making a larger portion per sale. So that's what I'm going to kind of show you today, because I made that mistake early on. I don't want you to make that mistake, or at least not suffer too long with it. So let's get going. I'm going to jump right into this. I've got a spreadsheet I'm going to work through, but first I'm going to explain a couple of things before I do this. And there's going to be 3 products that we're going to be looking at. So I've got this calculator that we're using, a profit analysis for Etsy. And we're looking at ceramic ornaments, woven blankets, the small ones, and a canvas wall art by 24 by 36. These are the ones that we're going to use in the profit analysis, and I'm going to explain these as we go along because there's a markup by percent and there's a markup by calculation. I'm just going to throw some numbers at you, and then I'm going to give you some examples here. So ceramic ornaments, for example, are item cost of $4.50. We're looking at this column right here. $4.50. Shipping is $5.69. The average retail price for this on Etsy is around $12, let's say, and the premium average is somewhere around $20. That's a big difference, and there's a reason why. We'll get into that in a moment. The woven blankets, for a second, now we're in the second line, is $21.47 for the item cost and $9.99 for the shipping. So we're looking at an average retail price on Etsy for about $52, and the premium average, I would say, is $74, but it goes a lot more than that. It all depends on the actual product, and that's why there is such a huge range. And lastly, the canvas, which is this last line, canvas 24 by 36, that's the one we're going to use for our example, is an item cost of $34.54. $17.39 is your shipping. Average retail price for anywhere between $69 and $99. Now, those numbers do fluctuate based on the type of art that it is, based on whether an item is considered premium, whether it comes framed, or anything like that. But what I want you to take from this is that this is just kind of a ballpark to start with, and it's just for our examples. Now, where did these prices come from? Because you're asking me, where are you getting this cost and this shipping from? This is from Printify. So I use Printify as my print-on-demand provider. So in other words, how does print-on-demand work? And you're probably wondering that because you're like, I'm just starting. I don't know what all this means. So how this works is Printify or Printful, and I think Gelato does canvases and wall art of all types. But all of these are providers. Okay, these are the people that manufacture or have companies that manufacture the products that you're selling. You don't have to keep any inventory because all you do is create the design, pick the product from their list of catalogs. You know, they have a huge catalog of stuff, and you put it on an item, like, for example, a ceramic ornament, a woven blanket, or even a canvas. And once you do that, then you list your product on Etsy or another platform. I use Etsy. When it sells on Etsy, that order goes to that manufacturer. So in my case, it's Printify. They get the order, they fulfill the order by creating it and shipping it to the customer. All I do is I pay them for their cost and their shipping, and I keep the profit of the sale. That's it. It's as simple as that. I don't need to keep inventory. Do I need to do customer service? Yes, I do. And that's where profit margins start to matter. So let's get into that a little bit. So we're going to talk first about ceramic ornaments, because this is where I made the biggest mistake. Now, if you don't know what they are, this is what they look like. Basically, it's the ornaments that you put on a Christmas tree, but these have been something that people use throughout the year for other things. Like I even had a woman buy, I think it was for a spring tree that she had, and she bought this Christmas ornament that had a dove on it, and she loved it, and she wanted it for spring, didn't want it for Christmas, and she bought it in the middle of spring. Perfect. I was like, hey, you can have it whenever you want. They could be things that you just put on your wall as decoration. So they're used for many different things. So it's a perfect gift. It's an easy sale. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples just so you understand. Like this is a watercolored, basically all of this, by the way, is AI. These are not handmade. And this one goes for $10.99. But as you can tell, it is on sale because normally they say they charge $21.98. So that one's $2.99. Let's look at another one. This is a custom watercolor of a house. So if somebody bought a home, basically you want to give a gift of somebody's new home that they made, or they have a beautiful home and you want to put it as a watercolor. Again, this is done with AI. And then you put their address down at the bottom. Obviously, this is a made up one. You wouldn't list somebody's address on there. And this one's $15.12. Again, on sale because it's normally, according to this, $27.49. Can we scroll down for shipping? This person ships $3.99. Okay, there we go. So let me look at the shipping on this one for a moment. This one was $5.99. So looking at 10 and 5. So we're looking at about 16 there. So let's look at the last one. This one here is the cheapest one. And I only wanted to point this one out because this is probably not print on demand. This is probably someone that does it from their home. And they buy the blanks, which is a lot cheaper when you do it by yourself. And you could do these at home and save yourself some money. It's about a $200 to $500 investment, and then you just do them yourself. And that way you control the product so that you know the quality is going to be good. And of course, you'll have to ship it. So if you want to take on that responsibility, you can. And you can offer prices like $7.99. So that's another example. What are they charging shipping for this one? And they are charging shipping, $5.48. Okay, so those are some examples. Now let's get into the pricing structure so we can look at the profit analysis and the markup and tell you why this is not the only product you should focus on. Okay, one of the first reasons why this shouldn't be the product that you'd focus on only is because the profit margin is very low. So let's go ahead and plug in these numbers and I'll show you what I'm talking about. So the item cost or cost of goods is $4.50. So we'll go ahead and plug this in. I'm gonna do this live while I'm with you. And the cost of shipping is $5.69. Okay, so we got that so far. That's what it is. We haven't plugged in, but let's say the listing price item we need to come up with a listing price, right? Because right now we know our cost is basically $10.19, and we know that Etsy is going to start charging us when we make that sale. So we're going to lose money. We need to obviously raise it. There's two ways that I calculate a markup or a price, by percentage or by a calculation. So let's do the percentage first. If I want to mark it up 40%, I'm going to go ahead and plug that number in there. And it tells me the suggested price would be $11.99. So let's say I do that. So $11.99, put that number in, no discount. Basically, my profit will be down here at the bottom, 21 cents. Obviously, that is not good. And that profit margin is only at 1.76%. I'm not making any money there. Now, notice I'm not charging any shipping. So if you're doing free shipping and you're trying to sell this at $11.99, it's not going to work because of the fact that there is shipping costs there included. Now, what happens here is there's two things that can go on. You can, one, raise the price so that it includes the shipping and you're covering it, and therefore you're making that profit. So let's say you instead went up to, say, $15.99. Just for funsies. Now you're making a profit of $3.83 and it's a 23% profit. Now you're like, okay, well now I'm making something, but the problem is you're at $15.99 with free shipping, but we all know when you buy something, if it says free shipping, more than likely that shipping price is put into the actual item itself. And that's what's happening here. So when someone looks at this, they're going to look at $15.99 when the average over here on the side is around $12. So if people are selling it for $12 and they're charging shipping, you kind of say like, well, I mean, it's kind of the same, but this is people don't think that way. They just look at the price and are like, well, this is $12. This is $15.99. It doesn't get to the shipping part until they go to the next level of thinking or scroll down. And by the time they realize that there's somewhere else for $12, they're not going to look at your listing anymore and realize it's free shipping. Tends to happen. So there's two ways of dealing with this. Like I said, the first one is to raise your prices. And the second way is to actually charge shipping, or at least part of it. So let's say I wanted to actually sell this for $12.99, but I'm going to charge a shipping of $3.99. So if I place these numbers in here, now this looks a lot better. I'm selling it at $12.99. I am charging a shipping. So, hey, that's what it's going to cost to ship it. Realistically, everyone knows it costs something to ship. It's nice that they're not just seeing a big giant number that's being inflated to include the shipping. So now they're seeing, okay, $12.99. That's what the other ones are selling for. And you know what? I do have to pay shipping. And then you look at the bottom here, and this is your profit. Your profit's going to be, I'm going to bold this for our sake. Your profit here is going to be $4.73. And can we make this green so you can see it? Perfect. $4.73, and it is a 27% profit margin. Now that's not bad, but here's where the problem lies with this, because now you're saying, okay, hey, I'm making $4. That's awesome. I'm making a little bit more than $4, almost $5. That's great. Sometimes people that sell t-shirts make about $5 per t-shirt. So you're thinking, that's kind of good. I'm very close to 30%. But here's where the problem lies. If you ever wanted to give a discount, because for whatever reason, there's a season, there's a reason, there's an event somewhere, and you're thinking to yourself, I want to offer these as a discount price. This does not leave you much room for that. Because even if you did a 10%, watch this, 10% discount brings it to $11.69. You're still making a profit, but guess why you're making that profit? You're making that profit off of that shipping, the extra shipping that's going there. So $3.55, you're going down. Nobody really does a 10% off. It's usually somewhere around 20% and up. I've done 15% on some items because they are very low profit margin, like for example, pillow covers, and I'll do 15% on those. But really 20%, 25% is kind of the lowest that people normally give as a discount. So let's go to that. So if we do 20%, what's going to happen to our profit? So now I'm doing that. Look at our profit here, $2.38, 16% profit margin. Why is this bad? Okay, I'm going to say it this way because some of you are saying, hey, I'm still making $2.38. Yes, awesome. But here's the problem. There's customer service. There's administration stuff. There's things that you may have to do or be involved. Is your time really worth $2.38 of a profit? I don't think so. And if you have a customer where something goes wrong, or they're not sure if they liked it, or it came, whatever reason, maybe it did come damaged and you have to deal with that. Maybe it did get misprinted and you have to deal with that. But all of that, do you really want to deal with those things when you're only making a $2.38 profit? You don't. You'll be frustrated. You're like, and they're like, oh, I want my money back or whatever. And you're like, yeah, all right, take it. The problem is you don't want to be frustrated with the amount of money you're making when you have to provide customer service, because customer service should be something that you do happily. And I'll be honest, sometimes it's a little frustrating, and it's easier for me to say to someone, hey, I understand. I'm really sorry that you experienced that problem. Let me go ahead and make it up for you. I'm going to go ahead and refund you your product, and you can keep it. I'd rather do that than have to spend the time trying to figure out and make it better and have this whole conversation about it. And I'll do that. And I'll say, next time, let me know. I'll send you a coupon. And you know what? I just lost a sale, but I didn't want to spend the frustration of dealing with something that is such a low cost and such a low profit margin and frustrating myself. And that affects the rest of the way that I deal with everyone else. So that's one of the things early on that I realized. I was making sales on the first year in Q4 with ceramic ornaments, but it was such a low profit margin that I really wasn't making a dent in what I was making. So it comes to the second year. So I said, well, this is not the product for me. That's definitely not. So what are we going to do? So I went into woven blankets and velveteen plush blankets. We're only going to talk about woven blankets today. So let me bring those up. So when I went there, I started looking at these and I realized that They sell a lot better. They sell like for a larger amount, and the profit margin was a lot better. Now we're going to look at the profit margin, but first let's look at a couple of examples. Like this one here, very simple. It's selling, and by the way, we're only looking at the smallest size because they have 3 different sizes: 37 by 52, 50 by 60, and 60 by 80. We're only interested right now in the small one. I do sell all 3, but for our number's sake, this is what we want to be. So $53.94 for the smallest one, and the regular price, it says, is $89.90. Very simple. Some of these do free shipping. Most do free shipping, but there is still that shipping charge of $5.90 for some of the others. And again, you already see why we do this. Let's go over to the this one here. Now, this is a personalized one. Somebody sends you a picture, and you put it up there. And this one's a lot cheaper. This one's $43.92. Regularly for $54.90. They're giving a 20% off. Can we go back to the other one for a second? 40% off. Okay. So this pricing right here is someone that is lowballing themselves because other people can provide the same service. But one of the things that they are doing, which I like, is that they're keeping their price, their discount low, and they're not exaggerating the price of their item to then be able to offer a bigger discount. In other words, they didn't go up to like $70 or $80 and then say, oh, I'm going to give you 50%, and then they're selling it for $40. That's kind of a bad practice to do, by the way. So that's that one. Now let's look at another one. Now this one here, these are all very popular, by the way. And I didn't show you this before, but can we scroll down for a moment on the first one? This one has sold, let's see, it's been around for 9 months. Total revenue of $71,000. Average order $129.10. They're buying the bigger one. So this is selling. Here's the next one. This one's been around for about a year, and it's made a total revenue of about $100,000 or $99,000. Pretty crazy, right? And like the last one, this is the one here. This has been around for about a year. It's made $120,000 in revenue in that year, and it's basically saying the monthly revenue is about $2,000, and the average value or the average order value is $217. That's a lot bigger than when we look at, where did I put that? I think I left it here somewhere. Yeah, here it is. Let's look at this one for a second. Remember we were looking at these ornaments? So if I look at the bottom here, this has had it's been around for a year. It's had a total revenue of $108,000. And it's monthly revenue of $439. Average order price is $21.98. So notice the average order price is a lot lower. Even though the revenue's been great on this thing, it's still something that you have to sell a lot of in order to get that revenue. So that's kind of what I want you to point out in a second. All right, let me bring this back. So here we are. This is what we are interested in. This one is selling for $68.04. This one was $43, and this one was $53. So we're about in good average there. If I scroll down, are they charging shipping? This one says free shipping. Okay. So now let's look at the numbers on these, because I have those numbers as well. So now we're moving over to the woven blankets, and we're going to see what they are. So woven blankets for the small one is $21.47. And I did not show you the markup calculation here yet. That one's going to be in this example. And then the shipping is $9.99. So we're going to put that shipping in. Okay, so now we have basically $31.46 is the cost of this. Now we'll do the markup by percentage. Normally it says 40. Let's say I want to make 50%, or at least I want the markup to be 50%. So it's saying to sell it at $42.20. I'm going to plug that in at a 0 discount just so we have a starting point. So I'm going to say $42.20. And by the way, you don't have to stick to these numbers. I'm just doing this for an example. I'm going to take off shipping for now. And as you notice, I'm making nothing. I'm making $6.28. So obviously that is not the way to go. But even if I did charge shipping, just so you know, if I charge shipping, this is going to be, let's say I'm going to do $5.99. That's the most shipping that I should charge, because anything above $6 in shipping for Etsy, you're kind of not going to get pushed. It's weird. It's like some back known thing. So $5.99, I'm up to $11.70. This is not a good profit margin, especially when I'm looking at the average sale is 52. So let's say if I want to sell this for $59.99. I'm just gonna plug that in before I do anything else here. That will get us to at least a space that we can look at. $59.99, $27. It's a 42% profit margin. Anything above 30 is pretty good. So there you go. So now we're at a good spot. But once again, when we get into the discount and we do a 20% discount, we're still at 31%, which is good. Can you make more? Okay, now I'm going to explain something else to you. I've got markup by percentage up here, and I've got markup by calc. Basically, every industry or thing that you're selling, there is a certain number of markups that you do. Some are 2 times, some are 5 times, and anywhere in between. So I like to do normally a 2 times markup and maybe even a 3, depending on what product it is. Now, when you think about woven blankets, they're not just printed. They're actually made by thread. Like they actually are woven. It's a machine that does it, but they're still made. They're not printed out. So that's number 1. So that's a higher quality premium item. Number 2 that I want you to think about is the time that you took making the design. Listen, whether you made it in Photoshop, whether you took a picture and converted it into an image, whether you are, using AI, whether it's even taking somebody's photo and making it into an image that they can put on a blanket, all of these things matter because when you make woven blankets, for example, the colors are different. The colors are going to change. So you have to do some modifications to your artwork in order for the colors to appear properly on there. And you're not going to get certain bright colors because that's not the kind of thread that they use. So there is some process that you do work on. So that's number 2. Number 3 is going to be everything that you pay for in order to make that product. And I'm not talking about the actual woven blanket. I'm talking about the design itself. So maybe you are paying for AI. Maybe you're paying for Photoshop. Photoshop, if you buy the creative suite, is like $69.99 a month. If you're doing Midjourney or something like that, you can pay anywhere up between $10 to $20 to $30 to $40 a month. Or if you're using any other AI, let's just say it's $25.99 a month. Okay, whatever it is, there is a charge for a platform that you're using and the products that you're using. So all those things should come into factor when you are actually creating your price. So let's say that I do a 3 times mockup. So if I do 3 times, I'm at $74.50. So is $74.50 too much for a small blanket? Probably. So what if I can go with that number or I can go with a little less. I honestly feel comfortable saying it's somewhere around $69.99. So if I say $69.99, and here's the thing, some of you are saying, bro, you're overpricing that, that small blanket. Keep in mind that it depends on what you're making. Remember how I said earlier, you want to think about your product, whether it's a premium product, what type of artwork it is. If it's something simple that's just words, obviously you're not going to be able to charge as much because other people are doing something similar. But if it's a premium quality product, some design that you really took your time to make, that is not like anybody else's, and you know what? You're selling art sometimes. You're not just selling a simple design on a blanket. You have to remember that that's worth something. And giving yourself that room of $69.99 allows you to actually make a discount down the road as well. So for example, I'm at $69.99 as a listing price. I'm going to give it a 20% discount at some point throughout the year. And I'm still going to make $24.18 profit. Perfect. That's enough. I don't need any more. But guess what? When it sells for regularly, it's going to give me $36.85. That's even better. So let me explain this because some people are going to say so you keep it on discount 100% of the time, 365 days a year? No. There is a federal law. I don't know which it is. Maybe if I find it, I'll post it in this video. But there is a law that does not allow you to keep an item on discount year round. The item needs to be at its listing price at some point. And there are people on Etsy that are always discounting 24/7 because of the fact that they have inflated their listing price, like something like, let's say here, if I do this 5 times, $117, and then they say, I'm going to give you 50% off because I'm just nice that way. No, it's because of the fact that They wanted to get a certain amount, and they are inflating their price to offer this illusion of a discount to get the price that they actually wanted. That's not good practice. Eventually people catch on to that and they're like, wow, that's kind of rude, man. And I don't run that way. I'd like to keep things at a premium amount, which I believe my products stand behind, and I'm able to give a discount from time to time, or you can pay the premium price if you really like it. And that's what it's about. Now, remember, you're not trying to chase to be the bottom. You're not trying to say, I want to, how much? Okay, the lowest is 45. I'm going to sell mine for 40. Don't do that, because you're just hurting yourself. And guess what? You're also hurting the community, because then everyone starts to think, well, the average should be down in the 40. Price your stuff correctly. If it's worth it, price it at what it's worth. You know what I mean? So anyways, I just want to give you that spiel because I do see that quite a lot. So that's how we come up with that amount. You can do, like I said, by percentage. If you did 100% a markup, then now you're at $52.93. Again, you could put that in. You could see what you're getting for $52.93. In this case, let's say we're going to do $54.99. I just like the sound of that better. It's very close to that. You're still making $23.28, but keep in mind, you also have to do the percentage sometimes. Let's say you're going to offer 20%. Now you're down to $13.32. It's less than 30%. I don't like to be in that number, so that's not a realistic amount that I would put my blankets, even the small ones, for that, unless it's a really simple design and I'm just giving it away. And that's the truth. Now, can you wrap up free shipping into this? Absolutely, you can do that. But you're not going to be offering at $54.99. You're probably going to be offering it again at the $16.99 with free shipping. You still make $18 on a 20% discount, and at 0%, no discount, you're making $31.43, and you're doing a free shipping. There you go. So there's different ways you can kind of fluctuate your profit margin, but also different ways that you can provide a better number for your clients. You can either say, hey, listen, flat price, $69.99. It includes shipping already, so you're all good. Or, hey, it's for this much, but shipping is $5.99, a little bit more. And either way, you're going to make that profit. I don't think anybody would have a problem paying this for a blanket. And in fact, you could even be like, okay, no, $3.99 for shipping and still make money. It doesn't matter. It's an illusion when it comes to shipping. Okay, so that was that. Last one I'm going to give you. Canvas wall art. Let's talk about this. Canvas wall art. We're going to start with this one. Here's just a simple one. A 24 by 36 canvas wall art is selling for $74.20 on sale. Normally it's $106. By the way, 24 by 36 average priced, even though the average price here on the side said $69, premium average is about $99. So $100 for a 24 by 36 is something that you see on a regular basis. So that's not a terrible retail price, but the discount $74.20 at 30% off is actually really good. And depending again on what the art is. If it's really simple, it's very common, anybody can do it, anybody has it, there's more of them, you're going to have a problem charging a certain premium for art. But if it's a little bit more unique, if it's a collection, it's your style, your brand, whatever it is, if you make it yourself, obviously you're going to charge more. We're talking about print on demand. This is a little bit different. So most of you will make print on demand with AI, with Photoshop, digital art, whatever. That's fine too. But that's what all this falls into. Let's look at another one. Oh, by the way, are they charging shipping? This one's free shipping. Now, canvases, I usually say to do free shipping only because it's easier to bundle that up instead of trying to figure out that a very huge canvas print is going to cost a lot of money to ship. So we'll look at that in a moment. Here's another example. $87.90. The regular price is $293. That is a lot of money for a 24 by 36 for a print. This is a well over price, but they feel that this deserves it. And I'm not going to argue with them. To each their own. Art is in the eye of beauty of art is in the eye of the beholder. So, but $87 is what they're selling it at. I think this is a little bit inflated in order to give a 70% off discount. That's kind of what a lot of even art dealers do sometimes. Don't get me started on that because I've purchased art on a cruise ship and I know about the whole let's raise the price and make it look like they're getting a huge discount. All right, so let's look at another one. Is this one free shipping? This one's also free shipping. Okay, perfect. Let's look at the last. I got two more examples. Here's another one. 8102 out of $102 on a regular basis. It's decent, 21% off. It's about 20%. And it's a simple one, 24 by 36. They are charging no shipping. There you go. So we're getting some examples. Here's the last one. By the way, I'm going to look to show you the numbers on this last one here. $158.90, 50% off. That's the sale price right now, ending in June. It's regularly at $317.82. This is an AI image, but it's still selling. And you're thinking to yourself, who's going to pay that? Well, somebody has been paying that because on average, an order has been $323.19. They've made a total revenue in 4 months on $15,000 total revenue in 4 months. Okay, that is insane. Any one of us can do this on AI, okay, and put this on a canvas. But for whatever reason, this is selling. People are buying it. And here's the numbers. I honestly feel this is inflated. And this is still way high for what this is. Let's see. Are they charging no shipping? Okay. I can't. I don't even have words for this. But again, I'm not going to argue with what people want to price their stuff at. So, okay. So that's the examples. Now let's plug these in. I'm going to put in the number, how much this costs if I did this with Printify. $31.47 for the, I'm sorry, $34.54 for the item. And the shipping on a 24 by 36 is $17.39. Okay, so we've got that number in. I'm going to go ahead and change this to, let's see, the average retail price is $69. Premium average is $99. At 100% markup, it's $86. At 3 times the markup, like I said, as far as your designing, your platform that you're paying for, Photoshop, whatever, your time, all of that comes into factor. I do it anywhere between the 2 times markup and 3 times markup. We're going to go with 3 this time. It's $121 suggested retail price. Now, where am I? Now, that is a lot higher than the average premium, but as you can tell, there are some that do sell for a lot more. There are some that are listed for a lot more, $102. It all depends really on what you want to do, but it all comes down to what? Profit margin. Is it worth it? So here we go. Let's go ahead and leave it at 3. We're going to use this number instead of this one. We can be anywhere in between, but for my sake, I'm going to go ahead and price it at 109. Okay, that's what I'm going with. So we're going to stay kind of right in between there. I would normally go to like $124.99, maybe, but I'm going to leave it at $109. And that's the price we're doing. There's the Etsy fees right there at $10.81. It has no discount right now. I am making a 42% profit margin on this. Let me move this over just a little bit. And yeah, my profit is $46.27. Cost of goods was $62.74. Where is that coming from? Give me 1 second. Oh, yes, because of the fact that it includes the Etsy fees. I thought it was only the cost. That's the cost of goods. That's the Etsy fees, and that's the cost up here and the shipping. So one more thing to look at. What if I wanted to give a discount? I said the average discount that I like to give is 20%. So now it's at $87.20, and which is within the average retail to the premium. And I'm still making $26.54, a 30% profit margin. I'm okay with that. That is the lowest that I probably would put at 24 by 36. Normally, like I said, I like to do 124 about, let's say. And if I do 124 or 124.99, whatever, giving a 20% still allows me to do, actually, let me show you these numbers. This is a magic number right here. 124.99, 20% off gives it to $9.99, $99.99. I love the way that looks. And that's still giving me a 38% at $38.11. By the way, I'm not charging shipping. Shipping is free because it's already included in the price. But what if I was one of those people that I said, I just want to make a little bit extra? You can. It's up to you. Don't feel bad. You're like, it's my profit is so low. I want to make a little more. That's where you go in here and you say, shipping a 24 by 36, sorry, wrong place. It's going to cost $5.99, let's say. The most that I would ever charge. And that gives you a little bit bigger profit, just a little. But that's how it is. And those are the numbers you play with. Now, again, this is much better. So why did I want to show you all this? Well, the end result is this here. We're going to do just a comparison side by side. I'm just plugging in the numbers so you see them. Okay. I just want to give you a comparison side by side so that you can see how this makes a difference from a low profit margin item to a higher one. So the first column is a profit analysis of a ceramic ornament. Here's your cost. Here's your fees. Here's a listing price of $12.99, no discount, $4.99 shipping, and sorry, it should actually be $3.99. No one's going to pay $4.99 for that shipping. And your profit's going to be $4.73, about 27% is your profit margin. If you sold 100 of these, you're making about $472 in profit. Okay. Now let's look at the woven blankets, the small ones. You're selling them at $69.99. You're offering $5.99 shipping, and you're making $36.85. That is a 48% profit margin. You sell 100 of these, you're making a profit of $3,685. There's your difference right there. Now, we haven't gone into discounts or anything like that. We'll show that in a moment. Now, let's look at the third column. This is for canvases, 24 by 36. Here's your cost, your fees. You're listing it at $124.99, which is for a premium item. I'll plug in the other number if you want. And here you're making shipping of $5.99, and now it's 50% profit margin at $66.16 as your profit. Profit from 100 of these sales would be $6,615. That's a big difference. Now, I know that you're saying those are inflated numbers. So what if I did, just for fun, put it this way? And what if I did this just to be happy? I'll leave that one alone. Okay. So even if I did this, oops, I'll show you what I did. So even taking away, now this is really low, but if you wanted to lowball, forget the ceramic ornament. We don't have a lot of room to play there, because even if we took off the shipping, we're making $1. This is why I say these low price items, you got to stay away from. You can have a few of these, let them do their thing, but you're not going to really make a lot of money there. This is where the money is, column 1, column 2, and column 3. If you're doing this one, you have, even though $59.99, that's a low amount. You don't want to charge shipping? Fine, don't charge shipping. You're still going to make $22 on it. You're still going to make $2,000 on 100 sales on that. Now, on the canvas, you want to lowball it and do it at $99, less than 100? Perfect. You don't want to charge shipping? Okay, then don't. You're still making $38.11 each one, making about $3,800 in profit on 100 sales. Those are the numbers that I want you to look at. Where would you like to spend your time dealing with customer service and dealing with the product work that you have to do? Here. I wouldn't want to do it here. I'll just give it back. I'll be like, no problem. I'll refund you, because I don't want to spend my time there. But here, these two, the woven blanket and the canvas, is the premium work where I would focus my energy on. It just makes sense. So you can play with these numbers any way you want, but just know this. There's 3 things to remember from this. And I'm just going to point these out because I made this video a lot longer than I expected to do. So there's 3 things to remember here. Number 1, don't overinflate your prices just because you're going to give a fake discount that's going to look incredibly high, like 50 or 70%, to get the price that you want. people are going to see through that, especially when they look around Etsy and they say, wait, but everybody else is charging this. Why is this guy charging so much? I mean, their product can be that much better. You don't price to give a discount. Price where you're comfortable. Price where the actual amount that you're charging stands behind your product. Is your product worth that amount? Yes. Number two, if you're going to do the free shipping thing, that's fine, but don't overinflate it as well, because then people notice. It's like, wait, why am I paying $20 for a Christmas ornament, for free shipping? Because you just packed in a bunch of shipping in there to actually make a huge profit. Don't lowball yourself. That's the other thing. Oh, nobody will ever buy this for $20. No, nobody ever pay $100 for my canvas. Don't do that, because you're already devaluing yourself. You've already shot yourself in the foot starting out. Don't do that. If you spend time making it and you like it and you're happy with it and it's following whether other things that are selling, you don't always have to trend chase. If it's a quality product, a quality design, stand behind it. And what are you worth? That's really what it comes down to. So I feel bad for people that are constantly chasing the lowest bottom of the barrel price because they think that by doing that, they're going to get sales. Remember the psychology. People that see something that's way too cheap think something's wrong with it. It's just natural. Anyways, I hope something that I shared today helped you. I know it was a little longer than expected, but I really wanted to go through the numbers and kind of show you the stuff that I go through and what I work with. This sheet is something that I created just for today's purposes. I do have a spreadsheet that I use for myself, but it's long-wise. It's not the short condensed version, but it would have been a little bit more complicated to show that way. If this is something that you need, just leave me a comment below and say, hey, this is something that I would like to have, or something along that lines. I'll see if I can make these available. But they're not that difficult to make, and I can always do a video showing you how to make this. I plan on doing more videos. I hope you plan on coming back. And if you got anything from it and you did enjoy me and you're just curious to see what else this crazy guy's going to do next time, go ahead and subscribe and give me a like. I really would appreciate that. So until next time, take care of yourself. I'll see you soon. I'm out. Peace.